Let's read. Yes, Kamar.
The COO of your software development company have asked you to develop a rough prototype of a piece of software to test proof concept for her team. Which development approach is the best
Assalamualaikum.
suited for his project?
Waalaikum.
Walaikum salam. Predictive, waterfall, increment, hybrid. I think that will be predictive one. Na? We just need to make a prototype.
But why we need a prototype? I mean, why we don't go for the final product in the first time? Because we want to experiment, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we don't want to invest too much in the design and heavy duty product. We just want a prototype to see if our idea, if what we are looking for is this or we are looking for something else. So you want to, why you want to make a final product in one go, right? If you are not looking to make a final product in one go, then you don't need to go to predictive, right? Agree? Predictive or waterfall is one and the same thing. So there is no difference. Now you have option, in my opinion, you have option between C and D to choose from.
Means C or D is one of the answer, right?
My opinion is A and B is the same answer. I mean, A and B is same thing, predictive.
Yes,
and
yes,
waterfall.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now C and D are your choices. You need to choose between these two. A and B you can eliminate, I think.
But in this case, for the development of prototype, hybrid is not required at all because prototype maybe we are just developing it for a test purpose. So it can be only
is
empirical.
it A is the answer?
Look, I don't think so, because predictive, if you remember, is for the projects where we know the final product look and feel, shape, and we can estimate how much time and cost will require for the final thing, right? We can estimate today, we can predict today how much the project cost will be and how much the project total time will be. But it is kind of a situation where we are asked to develop a prototype for a piece of software to test the POC, the proof of concept, as a proof of concept. So we are experimenting, creating something, testing, it works, fine. Maybe that's what we were looking for. But if it is not, we may continue to make another prototype, right?
Sir, if it's not predictive, then it's not waterfall as well.
Correct. Then what it is? Incremental or hybrid?
Then it's only incremental because it's not hybrid. That's I'm confirmed.
Why? What is the difference in hybrid and incremental?
Sir, incremental is agile and hybrid is, I think, the mixture of agile and predictive.
Hybrid is mixture, yes, but it's a mixture of iterative and incremental at the same time. So to tell you, agile is an hybrid methodology. So agile is a mixture of incremental and iterative. So now hybrid itself, at the same time it's an incremental and at the same time it's an iterative. So now we have to choose between either it's simply an incremental or it's an iterative. I mean, it's both. Yeah, it's incremental or it's hybrid.
I will go for incremental.
Incremental. Okay, so in incremental, what we do, we add a feature, then we add a feature, and then we add another feature on top of it, and then we add a feature on top of it. So in this way, we move on, right?
Right.
Yeah. But in Agile, we add, let's say, 3 features, and then we enrich those 3 features in the next iteration, and then we enrich those 3 features further in this third iteration, and so on. So we are incremental, and we are iteratively improving those features in every iteration. Like in the first iteration, if we developed A, B, and C, in the second iteration, we'll develop all these 3 further, like A1, B1, C1. And the third iteration will be also in developing these A1, 1, A1, 2,
Assalamualaikum.
A1, 3, like that.
जी
Yeah.
जी 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 जी
So you got my point. That
Yes,
जी
yes,
बताइए
yes.
it's okay. So you are saying it's incremental.
ये
I am saying
काफी
it's
बात कर रहा हूँ,
hybrid.
जैसे साहब को
Let's
बताएंगे तो आने दो
proceed, right?
A3101.
Right, right.
Okay, let's proceed.
Can you mute the mic, cousin?
Yeah.
Navila is the Scrum Master for Project D, which is 6 iteration into deployment and has a velocity of 65 story points. During a recent retrospective, her team discovered there are some critical skills to complete the project and would call an vendor for support. What Navila do next? Draft statement of the work, hold a bidder conference, determine exactly what work to be contracted out, escalate to the steering committee. I think they need to evaluate what work
पापा
need to
बंदा आ रहा है टीवी लगाने के लिए, उससे लगवा लेगा.
be contracted out. So C point, I believe.
Okay. During a recent retrospective, her team discovered they are missing critical skills to complete the project D and would like to call in a vendor. What should Twila do? What work need to be contracted now? Okay. Yes.
You and other project manager are in competition for John. Both you need to hem for activities on your project full time, but your project overlap and schedule. This is the example of which one of the following: resource pool availability, conflict management, every tower, resource constraint. I think resource constraint.
Sure.
What is this every tower?
For me, this is a made-up word. Unless it means something I don't know.
Okay. You are the project manager for your organization, and you are working with the project team to define the change control approach for your project. You want to capture the correct information when changes are presented and analyze for your project. Which one of the following must be completed for each change that is proposed for the project? Project charter must be examined. Project lifecycle cost must be reviewed. Change must be reviewed by for any associated risk. Cost benefit ratio must be reviewed. You are working for the project team to define the change control approach for the project. You want to capture the correct information when changes are presented and analyze for your project. Okay, so Change control approach is there. They need the correct information to be presented and analyzed.
It's not B and D. It's either A or C.
Okay. It's not B.
It's not Bravo and Delta.
Okay.
It's either Alpha or Charlie. The change must be reviewed for any associated risk, or the project charter must be examined. I think project charter is something a way backwards. The more the thing is more near towards the is the change reviewing any associated risk if there are any associated risk over the change. So I think Charlie will be the answer.
Yeah, but the thing is, you need to make sure that your change uh, will cost something, but the benefits outweigh the cost, right? For any change that you bring, it will cost you. But what is the benefit that you are trying to bring? Definitely, once you decided, if the change is already, you know, if the change is already approved and you need to implement it, then there is something else that you need to do. But the thing is, here you are working with your team to define the change control approach for your project. So this means that you are designing or setting up or shaping up how the changes should be managed in your project. So you want to capture and record the information when changes are presented and analyzed for your project. So you want someone to bring to you some analysis before that his change can be approved. So which means what should be that analysis? What should he bring to you? Right?
Sir,
So which one of the following must be completed?
but if you see the point number D, it's the point number C is already covering the point number D. The change must be reviewed for any associated risk, either positive or negative. So benefit cost ratio must be reviewed. तो ये तो उसी के अंदर आ गया ना boss?
No, no. Look, whenever you are talking about risks, risks can be to achieve your objective in certain cost. You might not be able to complete in certain cost, or you might not be able to achieve in the certain time because of such risk, and it can damage your scope or quality, right? But here the point is to start with the change. The change should be analyzed quantitatively. What is the benefit of this change and what is the cost of this change? So this is just a very step that the information that you need to make a decision that this change should be, you know, this change should be pursued or not. I mean, because you are working with your project team to define the change control approach. So you want to be in control with the changes in your project, right? So you don't want let any change come into your project without any benefit. So you have to be observative of benefit cost ratio for every change that is pushed forward. What do you think, guys?
So in this
Sir,
way,
I
the D option cost benefit analysis must be reviewed.
Yeah, Kazim is not uh, agreeing. He's saying we should choose C. So Kazim, बैठ जा कहीं
sir.
पे, फिर समझ में आएगी तेरी को बात. कैमरा रुकेगा तो दिमाग चलेगा. समझ आ गई? नहीं
जी
समझ
सर आ तो गई है लेकिन
देखो
अभी भी मैं
देखो
थोड़ा
मैं
थोड़ा
बता
सी की तरफ हूँ।
चेंज को रिव्यू करना है, ठीक है? सी और डी में से ही कोई ऑप्शन होगा, ठीक है? अभी आप बैठे हो और आप कह रहे हो कि यार हमारे प्रोजेक्ट में जो चेंजेस आ रही है ना उनको कंट्रोल करना है, ठीक है? तो आप कह रहे हो कि व्हाट इंफॉर्मेशन वी शुड कैप्चर व्हेन चेंजेस आर प्रेजेंटेड एंड एनालाइज फॉर योर प्रोजेक्ट. आप वो राइट डाउन कर रहे हो. So which of the following must be completed for each change that is proposed for your project? Charter must be examined. Charter तो start में already established हो गया हुआ है. Project life cycle cost must be reviewed. This is also interesting point, by the way. This is also interesting point. because when you will bring a change, let's say the project life cycle cost should be examined, because it is not only the cost that is to incorporate this change. The cost of supporting this change throughout the life cycle of the project matters, because there will be many implications of this change in terms of, indirect cost. Let's say you took a change that let's move our office from this location to near to downtown Dubai. Now this is a change. Okay, maybe you took this decision to be close with the customer or something, but this will indirectly add the cost to the project. And throughout your project, you will incur indirect costs in terms of the office rental and associated costs, right? So now this change will have an impact throughout the life cycle of the project. So you have to review your project life cycle cost for after adding this change. Now I am also taking into consideration B point as well. But for me, any change should be first evaluated on benefit cost ratio. Like, what is our benefit in this change? What do you think?
Yes, I had left B as well because of the number one and number two are very way behind things. Charter is way behind, and the life cycle cost is also way behind.
No
The first
behind.
thing we are going to
Life cycle cost is you need to determine not just the cost of incorporating, but the cost that will incur because of the change through until the project is finished, right?
सर
I
बिल्कुल बात
understand
सही है
your
आपकी,
point.
लेकिन मैं
Mhm.
मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि होता ना कि व्हाट इज द मोस्ट नियरेस्ट थिंग, तो द मोस्ट नियरेस्ट थिंग इज चार्ली एंड डेल्टा. But why didn't I selected Delta? Because I thought that the Delta, Charlie is already capturing Delta points. That the change must
But
be
that I
reviewed for
don't
any
agree with you.
associate risk.
No, that I am explaining you how it is not agreeing, how it is not covering, because benefit cost ratio is something which is dollar in dollar out related. Okay, so it's something that you can compare with each other, that what you will get by investing $1, you will get $2 or not. This is simple. But change
Right.
must be reviewed for any associated risk, means that this change will have an impact on various other functionalities, which is a risk. So it will impact our scope. It will impact our scope. We will have to add to regression testing. So which means that it will impact your project objectives. Rather, it will be like it is not that the change has no benefit. Change has a benefit. The change has a benefit. This is point D, that there is possibility to sell the product to 2 million customers rather than 1 million customer if we incorporate this change, right? This is the benefit. However, the point C is that change must be reviewed for any risk, which means that this change will impact your timelines of the project or your cost or your quality of the project. So it is not the revenue that you will earn after this product will go to the market, right? It's not the benefit that we are talking in C. In D, we are talking about evaluating the benefit.
Okay. Profit and
We
loss. Okay.
lock it, we'll see. Yes, Kazim, you read.
Brad is a Scrum Master for Project X, which suffered a setback during the current sprint. During this setback, Brad sent updates to the key stakeholder a day late. The stakeholders were upset that their report was late, but Brad was able to smooth the situation. What should Brad do at the next retrospective? Share with the team that he sent the report late and explain why it happened. Do nothing. Blame the late reports on the setback. Break up the reports but minimize the impact. Bring up the late reports but minimize the impact. सर आगे बढ़ने से पहले जरा डी समझा तो दे। हेलो। हेलो।
So Brad is a Scrum Master for Project X, suffered a setback during current sprint. Why? Due to this setback, Brad sent updates to key stakeholders a day late. Okay. Stakeholders were upset that their report was late, but Brad was able to smooth the situation. What should Brad do at the next retrospective? Okay. Do nothing. Blame the late report on the setback. Share with the team that he sent the report late and explain why it happened. Bring up the late reports, but minimize the impact.
I think we should do nothing because Brad was able to smooth the situation.
Yeah, but
only we can do with the D delta, bring up the late report. If some discussion points are coming, so maybe he can little bit discuss with minimum impact, although the situation is smooth now.
no, but the point D is saying that always bring up the late reports. Looks like keep doing it. Like, but minimize the impact like the way you are doing, right? Bring up the late reports, right? I mean, you are saying in the next retrospective, what shall he do? Okay. So in the next retrospective, he should bring the late reports, but
minimize the impact. Yeah.
Like how? Like how? The impact is done.
Yeah, then we have to go with A point. In this way, then we have to consider A point.
Yeah.
Because even retrospective is between the team now.
Yeah, it's learning, it's lesson learned. You can say, guys, I got a setback, and because of which the report got late, and this was the reason behind, and this is why it happened, and it should not happen with me or with anybody else. Let's take a lesson learned.
Then A is more relevant in this case.
Yeah. Because retrospective is a meeting where nobody will be.
Yes.
I mean, it's a lesson learned for everybody. It's not like blame game, right?
Retrospective is also known as an open meeting of all members sitting together and sharing their thoughts.
Yes. Good. Yes, you have been assigned to lead a team that will create a virtual game using agile project methodologies. Your team had been using a web application to assign tasks, but many of these assignments would get lost in the application as more tasks were added. For this reason, your team decides to use a task tracking tool, websites such as Kanban style methodology. Which of the following options are not a benefit of using tools that create the track tasks? Now, which of the following is not a benefit of using tools that create the track tasks? Okay. Task trackers are an effective way for team members to view their assignments clearly. That's one of the benefits. So we need to identify which is not. Team leader can follow and monitor their team members' workload and provide an up-to-date list of tasks. That's also a benefit. Team leader can achieve better coordination using task trackers in virtual teams. This is also an important benefit. And team leader can more easily micromanage their team using these tasks. This is something which is not encouraged, right? What do you think? What do you think is not a benefit of tracking tool? Visibility is, transparency is, I mean, assignment is.
What is the meaning of macro manage?
Micromanage is like you are
घुस के काम करना.
Yeah, you are working closely, but you don't trust, and you just want everything to be monitored so closely that it gets, you are always on top of somebody's head, and you always keep an eye on the breaks that he's taking, on the free times that he's taking, or wherever he is going, what time he's coming to office, what time he's working. Like you are behind, shadowing the person always. Then it's micromanaging, right? Do this, do that, directing.
Then this will be the D option will be more relevant in this
Appropriate.
case.
Yeah, we don't bring tools to micromanage people. We do bring tools to collaborate, become more transparent. Yeah, help us in virtual setting, but not to micromanage or to be micromanaged. Yes, Kamar.
Yolanda is a project manager for newly initiated PD project for her company. She is working with the project team and the key stakeholder to review the project requirements and prep for project scope creation. All of the following documents are needed to define the project scope, except project charter, project management plan, resource management plan, and the process. I think process is not in the scope. Process that team has to do. So I think D option.
So you need charter, you need project management plan, you need resource management plan. You don't need a process to define the project scope, right?
Yeah. Because if scope is there, then I need to manage my project management plan. I need to allocate the resources also.
I think the process will come in any of the three above, like how we are going to do things.
But
The
like
part, the
as we
point.
discuss as a macro manage, like at the execution level, maybe we will be discussing the process.
Yes,
but
yes,
at the top level, there will be only scope. Like we need, for example, customer feedback form on the website. So how we will do it?
Listen,
the
guys,
scope is
sorry, I'm interrupting you, but read the question carefully and the answer will be very evident. All the following documents are needed to define project scope, except which one? So charter is a document, project management plan is a document, resource management plan is a document, process is not a document.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, process is not a project.
Process is also sometimes a document, but it's not relevant for the scope.
Yes.
Maybe for assignment of job, I need to direct my team to follow this process. This is the step, just follow and complete it. So internally, maybe it is for me, but at scope level.
But only issue I have is with the resource management plan, because my scope creation is dependent on the ideas or on the project requirements, right? It is not dependent on how I will achieve it, like who will do the job. Like my resource management plan will come according to my defined scope. Like it is dependent on my scope, right? So I do not need to have a resource management plan first, and then I go for my scope creation.
Yes,
you may need a process to define the scope, which means that you may need to first collect your requirements, and then you may need to decide which requirements out of the following collected requirements are most important one that you can consider within the scope, and then you define your boundary that's my scope. So that's how you can say, okay, we prepared some scope management plan, we collected the requirements, and then we defined our scope by following this process. But I am objecting on the resource management plan because I do not need to limit myself initially when I am collecting the requirements because of my resource management plan. What do you think?
Yeah, yes, I think your explanation somehow makes sense actually. Why I'm saying, because we need to make the building, the scope is there. So definitely the process will be there. There will be designing, picture, application, approval, construction, civil work, MEP work, something will be there. But all my resource also depend on that structure, how big building is, how I need to plan to establish this and to complete this project as well. But I think also maybe it will not be the part of scope directly, but it will be impacting the project team, project manager also. Straight away, maybe in this way we can say maybe initially we are not discussing the scope. Okay, they are not discussing the scope with resources, what you need, you need to build this one, what you need. So maybe this will not be in the discussion also.
No, you are working with your project team and your key stakeholders, right?
Exactly.
To
Exactly.
review what is the requirement on the table and prepare your project scope creation. Like you have a lot of things on your table, and now you are around the table with your team, and you are drawing the boundary that okay, let's draw a circle and put everything that we need to do in this circle, and then remaining stuff is which will left over is not our scope. What is in our scope is this. So what should you consider? You can consider your charter, consider your stakeholders, consider a process, okay? But your resources like your cost, your manpower, your uh, material, equipment, machinery, this will be decided based on the scope that you will be choosing. Now you are not limiting yourself, your scope based on the resources that you have, unless it's a constraint, unless you have, it's mentioned somewhere that resource is a constraint. I mean, budget is a constraint or manpower is a constraint. So you will definitely define your scope with your constraint, within your constraint. But it is no mere mention.
Although this is also not mentioned, even the budgeted things are also not mentioned. This is some open scenario. But still, once we will be taking over the project, even the scope, definitely we will be considering all the aspect, including the budget requirements, the cost of that composition of all the
Yeah. So
increments, everything.
you think that there is some analysis of a self-assessment or capability assessment before committing to something, right?
Exactly,
Look
exactly.
at your team skill level, and then you commit something. But the thing
Yeah.
is, the project is already initiated, right? I
So
understand.
definitely they already considered that
Yeah,
one also.
I understand that you won't be undertaking something which you don't have a skill set for. But again, you have to first define your scope, and then according to that, you need to analyze that now who will do the job internally or externally, or because once you define your scope, then you assess, elaborate it in more detail, and then assign the, like, understand, or try to understand what kind of work you need to define, work you need to do to achieve this scope, and then who will do the work, and that planning will come from the scope only. So scope will be limited only if your budget is a constraint or your time is a constraint, then you will, for example, you will limit your scope. Okay, but that thing is not mentioned here.
So let's go with the resource one, I believe.
Yeah, let's go
Then
and
we
then
can.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a project manager of a project NGJ and you have invited stakeholders from around your organization to participate in project initiation. Your project team wants to know why you are including stakeholder in so much of the project when the project team is composed of the people who will be doing the work. What will be your response? Because I am the in charge, because they are paying for the project, stakeholder ownership improve stakeholder satisfaction, and I am the in charge. Involving stakeholder will help the project to avoid getting cut from the budget. I think the C point is more relevant.
Yeah, what
because
do you think?
stakeholder ownership will improve because they will take the ownership of all of the things, and also I am the boss.
It will be I am the boss and stakeholder ownership improves. Next.
You are a project manager for your organization. Your latest project is to create the web interface that allow customer to purchase item from online catalog. If you create the product in-house, it costs you 150,000 to create and nearly 4,500 each month as administration fee. Okay, so the vendor is supplying to create the software with 160,000 and handle with the administration of 5 cents per transaction. You are expecting 65,000 transaction each month. Which one of the following that help you to determine the decision that is best value? Control chart, trend, decision tree, Pareto. I think you have to draw the decision tree.
Yeah, between these two decisions, yes.
Palm is a Scrum Master at Acme Corporation. Various members of our development team are engaged in a lively discussion during the retrospective when one developer raised their hands to offer a differing opinion on how things went. Several other members of the team immediately dismissed the idea and redirected the discussion to the previous topic. What Palm should do in this instance? Oh, a development team run the retrospective, allow them to continue, approach the developer after meeting to see what they have to say, wait for an appropriate time during the discussion, ask for developer their thoughts, immediately interrupt the discussion and ask developer to their thoughts. Various team member of development team engage in lively discussion during the retrospective when one developer raised the hand to offer a differing opinion on how the things went. Okay. So development team run retrospective, allow them to continue, approach the developer after the meeting, wait for the appropriate time. I think better to check immediately, interrupt the discussion and ask the developer their thoughts.
What do you think, Kazim? Do you agree, D?
Because some different opinion is there, so definitely we have to listen that one. Even this is a retrospective.
Look, the thing is, again, they interrupted this poor guy, poor fellow, right?
Yeah.
So you won't do the same that they did to him. You will not do, even though you have the authority, you will not do the same with them, right? So what you can do, you can wait for an appropriate time during the discussion and then ask the
So I
12
think
other
I
questions.
think that yes, I think I could go for C for wait for appropriate time so
Yeah.
that everyone should be on the time. Oh, sorry, on the same page.
Hmm. Yeah, you are right. You are right. I do agree with you, right? Kamar, you will agree, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking in that way. For example, our retrospective will be having a different section. One will be for live discussion, one will be some question and answer, one will be number of thoughts or something that we can do differently. Some section will be there, so they will wait for appropriate time.
Yeah.
In that way, I can consider that C. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I will never agree with Mr. Kadam.
Cool.
On agile software development, Victor, the agile coach, asked business stakeholder to create user stories which will be used to develop and test the new application. The main purpose of user story is to document the feature and function required by the stakeholder to create the record issue encounter on the project platform, to perform a what if analysis to communicate the progress. What if analysis is not there? To create the record of issues. This is not
No,
the user
for
story.
for issue it should be a issue log. So B is eliminated.
So B and C even both are eliminated. So document the feature and function required by the stakeholder. I think this
मुझे
is more relevant.
Yeah.
I will also go for alpha.
Yeah. But I tell you
You
one
have
more
to. You
thing.
have no
I
other option.
understand.
You have to.
No, guys, I understand that user story is written to describe your feature and function by the stakeholders, okay? Or your business analyst will write it, or your product owner will write it, or your stakeholders will write it what they want. I want as a user to do this, to pay for my bills, whatever. Once the user story is created, and you create a ticket for it, okay? It becomes uh, it becomes a placeholder for discussion sometimes as well. So you will
आगे
ask
भी
that
साथ
what happened with my requirement. So they will pick up that Jira ticket and then they will communicate, I mean, the status.
ठीक है भाई
So yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
हाँ
So yeah,
इसे
definitely.
कट
But
किस
the
तरह
main
होगा बता
purpose, if
दो
you ask me, it is to document features or functions required by the stakeholder. But there is some aspect that we use it to communicate. But again, if we create user story, we create it to document our requirements.
It is
सर तो
important for the project manager to identify the organizational structure in which she is operating so she can better plan the project. Which organizational structure provide the least amount of power for the project manager more than for functional manager? Functional, first one.
Yes.
इस पे तो बहस हुआ ऐसा ही नहीं
Helen is a scrum master for project S, which is add iteration into deployment and has a velocity of 35 story point and is 1 week ahead of schedule. During recent sprint planning session, it was discovered that several user story could not be implemented as critical infrastructure is missing. What Helen should do next? Determine what is missing and add appropriate task to backlog. Remove those stories from the project test. Speak with product owner about deprioritizing those stories. Do nothing and project team will figure it out. I think better
alpha
determine what is missing and add to the appropriate task log.
Yeah, but again, guys, you are Scrum Master. Yes, I understand. And you can do that. Add the missing whatever determine whatever is missing, and add the appropriate task to the backlog. But always, once you touch the backlog, you need to consult the poor guy, the product owner. You know. Now again, why will consult him about deprioritizing those stories? No means, right? Because this is left out. No. Why we will consult him to deprioritize? Because during recent sprint planning session, which definitely product owner was part of, it was discovered that several user stories could not be implemented as critical infrastructure is missing, which means that we've been leaving out these stories from past few sprints because we were not able to work because there is some prerequisite which is missing. So again, we can speak with the product owner to deprioritize, put them in the depth of the backlog and bring something more important on top of the product backlog. So yeah, we should speak with the product owner about deprioritizing these stories because there is a dependency, right? Rather than adding, okay. So first point is determine what is missing and add appropriate tasks to backlog. Now, if your point of view is that for that critical infrastructure, to put in place the critical infrastructure, you want to create some stories and add on top of the backlog to first get developed, I mean the prerequisite, and then those stories can be implemented, then A is the answer. What do you think?
Exactly, because our consideration is also the critical infrastructure. So that's why.
Because we cannot deprioritize those stories now because that is a critical infrastructure. So we have to do it. So we have to plan the things out and whether it's backlog or whatsoever, but we have to do that job done.
I go by your justification. I go by your justification. If you want to do something for critical infrastructure which is missing, and then those stories should be worked on. Yeah. But I always I will not agree on one ground that you are not the one who should add tasks to the backlog. Always the task on the backlog will be added by product owner. Remember.
So yes, you are always right. You are right. But the thing which is triggering me is this critical infrastructure missing point. That if this is missing, that means we have to do it by hook or by crook. So if we add this ourselves to the backlog
One
and make
more
the
thing
thing
also
happen.
I would say, for example, they are 1 week ahead of schedule. They completed 35 story points also. So they
Yes.
are going very well actually. But the thing is, even those story points also, which are going to the part of infrastructure, also need to be considered. Even doesn't mean if some job we are missing and we are also ahead of schedule, it doesn't mean we are going very well.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
But since we are
So
1 week ahead, so means we
yeah,
have a bit span to do our होता ना कि जो चीजें बच
some
गई हैं
missing
उसको
work.
किसी तरीके से खींच लो.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, you guys have a point. I also
definitely
agree.
we have the point. You have to
I
agree.
I agree because again, you are in the sprint planning meeting and you are already with the product owner. So you are already, if you are choosing A, then you are doing it together with the product owner, right? You are determining what is missing and adding the appropriate task to backlog. So it's not like you are doing it in some ceremony
Yeah,
where
yeah,
the
yeah.
product owner is not there, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
You
Yes.
are a project manager of NGBB project. Your project team has failed to complete the work as project management plan demanded. What action will the project team have to perform for your guidance? Okay, so quality control, defect repair, peer review, exit review.
It is either alpha or bravo. Peer review.
Your project team has failed to complete the work as demanded. So the work is not up to the mark, so there is a low quality work. I think quality we should consider.
What action will the project team now have to perform with your guidance?
Yeah.
Yeah, the quality control is there, but so since we had failed to comply with the standards, then I think we should go for the defect repairs. Quality control is the thing like Ehtisham Sahab, मैंने काम कर लिया है, kindly look after it. So it's a finished product. Then Ehtisham is going to look it and scrutinize if there are any issues. Right now we had failed. अब हमने तो काम ही नहीं करके दिया. Failed to complete the work as the project management plan demanded. So I think it should be defect repair कि भाई अब आप जाओ repairment की तरफ जाओ, do the things again. I think. ओ साथ जी तो खामोशी होगा.
हाँ गाइस, अगर आपने टाइम गुजार दिया है और काम छोड़ दिया है, which means that you have not finished the full scope of work, then quality का इशू है. I mean ये इशू ये नहीं है कि quality control, I mean ये इशू ये नहीं है,
मैं एक
ये
मिनट
इशू
आता हूँ.
ये इशू ये नहीं है कि क्वालिटी कंट्रोल हुआ नहीं है. क्वालिटी
म्यूट पे कर दे.
I think I should mute him. Yeah. So what action will the project team now have to perform with your guidance is that they have missed critical steps while completing the work. So it means that now to fix it, they have to do defect repair. Peer review would have helped them to avoid it, because somebody gonna ask that why we are missing this, the proper steps to do this task. So why we are missing it? So peer review would have helped correctively, but now it's a problem of the corrective action. I mean, peer review would have helped us in preventative way to prevent the work getting
Yeah,
missed.
actually now we know actually.
Yes. So
now we know that, yeah, we have to do the repair maintenance.
Yes.
Your organization completes project for the other organization. You are a project manager of the BGV project. It is almost complete, but the stakeholder have requested a change to the project scope. Customer is willing to pay additional fee for this change. Additional changes will cause the project to run 3 weeks longer than it was planned. The problem you realize is that you have already scheduled your current project team to start a 3-year project for different customer, which will overlap the new work of the current customer has just added into the scope. You need to complete current project, keep your current customer happy, and start the next project also on time. What should you do? Hire additional project team member to complete the project on time. Promise the customer that the changes will be added later. Refuse to add the changes. Promise customer that you can do the changes as requested, but they will need to stop current project, move your project team to the other project, and then return to the customer project when the team is available. So I think first option is more appropriate. Hire some additional team to do this project on time. Okay, even the changes cannot be added later or refuse we cannot do to make him unhappy. And like we will stop here and we will complete other project, and after 3 years we will come back and we will add the changes. It is not even possible. So he will say, no, you have to do it. So I think most appropriately the answer will be hire additional team member to complete the product because they agree to pay you the additional charges and fee as well. What do you say?
Guys,
The-
you have completed the project. Khalas, refuse.
No way. How we can refuse? But I need the business tomorrow again. How I can do this? He will say, you came again, you left me with the incomplete project. How? I requested the changes, you did not update it. How? ਕਿਹੜੇ ਮੂੰਹ ਨਾਲ ਤੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ?
Look, guys, the thing is, your team is already planned
Assigned
for
to
the
the other
next
project, yeah.
next project, right? So,
Yeah.
which is a 3-year project, right? Now, this project is almost complete, but the stakeholder has requested a change. Now, it will be a CR, you know. So,
Change request, yeah.
so it will be a CR. So, change request will be another kind of a project. Okay. So, it will be some other project like this is a CR.
Additional or new project, yeah.
Yeah. So you will take it as a new project, right?
Yeah.
So you will refuse to add the changes to current project because the project is almost complete, right? So you will
Yeah.
lock it, close it, sell to the customer. You are willing to do it. You need to plan for a new project for these changes, okay? And that can be, that can be planned properly. So now there is no option like that in your answers. Only I can see hire additional project team members to complete the project. But the thing is, it's not about the time. They didn't say that you need to complete it on the time, right? The
No,
additional
they did
changes
not
will,
even mention, yeah.
the
They did
additional
not
changes will
mention.
cause the project to run 3 weeks longer than. Okay. This is true that you can do that if you want to still finish within the time. You don't want to run for 3 more weeks, then you crash. Then you try to add more team members and get the job done within the time span of the current project. Okay, so the current project is, if it is 2 year, then the change request also try to add more resources and get the change done even within this time, so that you are done with it, so that you are done with it. So yeah, that A should be the option answer if you want to do these projects. You want to close the fund and then you want to take up the 3-year project. So A should be your option, that let's add more resources, get the CR done within the original timelines.
Also, in the last line of the question, they are mentioning you need to complete the current project, keep your customer also happy, and start the new project on time. So
Because
that means the current project I have to finish on time. Yeah, to start the new
my
project also on
customer,
time. And the customer, yeah, the customer receptionist is very beautiful. So that I have to make it happy. So that's why I need to
plus not
hire more
beautiful,
additional staff.
not only beautiful, she is paying you also for the change. So hire more people
Exactly.
to get it
See,
done.
to complete it. Yeah. Even you have to do by yourself. You have to spend the nights there also.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story, but later. What happened?
No issue. Let the public know. No worries. We can add. Jim is a Scrum Master for Project Y, which is in its third iteration and has a velocity of 29 story point.
Can you repeat this? We lost your voice actually. Can you reread the question again?
Yeah, sure. Jim is the Scrum Master for Project Y, which is in its third iteration and has a velocity of 29 story point. At a recent sprint review, one stakeholder complained that project seemed to be spending a lot of time not working and instead having developer train each other. What is Jim most likely response to this complaint? Mentorship is important aspect of the project development and positively impact on the project. Refer stakeholder to the product owner, agree and cancel the training, ask the stakeholder, okay, leave the product cleverly. I think first option is more appropriate and the decent answer, that we are doing the mentoring of each other, we have the discussion, we have the training to do it properly, and it will positively impact the project.
Okay, I agree.
John is the project sponsor for your project and you have been working with him regarding some quality and risk issues. Which of the following statement is true about the project sponsor's activities? Project sponsor manage the project with project manager. Project sponsor assign the project team member to specific project activities. Project sponsor allow project manager to make all the decision in a functional environment. Project sponsor ensure that the project manager has the necessary resources to complete the project. So what are the activities of project sponsor? So he cannot assign the project to the team member. Second is not the option.
Even C,
To make the decision, because decision project manager itself is not making.
no. Look, in which kind of environment? Read full. Project sponsor allows PM to make decisions in functional environment. So it's like going against
that
the
is
structure.
No, what is the structure of the organization then?
No, again, even if it is functional, PM will not be making the decisions, right?
It
So
will be
how
the
sponsor
functional
will allow
manager,
it?
yeah.
So now the
So-
sponsor that do not directly manages, project with the project manager. He just equips project manager with everything that he needs. Okay. And so provides maybe some funds.
So I think the
resources.
D option we have to consider.
I think we will show for C, not why D.
No. C, because C is itself illogical, because sponsor will it means that it's a functional environment, and they are saying sponsor will allow PM to make all the decisions in the functional environment. Whereas we know functional environment, the functional manager has the budget and the resources. So all the decisions are taken by functional manager, right? It's not possible that a PM will take all the decisions, even if the sponsor allows it, right?
Okay, you are trying to say it's technically wrong.
Yeah. So sponsor job is to equip the PM with all the necessary resources that he needs to complete the project. Money, equipment, resources, whatever. Because it's a sponsor, right? He's authorizing the charter and authorizing the PM to use your organizational resources to complete the project. So he is the one who pays your bills.
You are a project manager of a project to solve customer service problem in your company's call center. You would like to create a chart showing frequency of the problem your project team has identified. This is called Pareto chart, control chart, flow chart, or Gantt chart.
Gantt chart तो नहीं है.
Yeah, let's
Not a flow
eliminate.
chart, not a Gantt chart.
Let's eliminate both of these. I agree.
Pareto is also not there.
Pareto
एक ही
मेरे
बचा
नाल
भाई.
ब्याह कर ले.
I think this is our control chart that we need to fix the problem
If you remember,
between two lines.
we draw this.
Sir, by the way, the Gantt chart is the process flow chart, like the timeline chart, if I'm not wrong.
So if you see, this is your Pareto.
No, this is your Pareto.
Despacito.
I mean, I'm just saying these are the numbers, okay? So if this is number of defects of type A, number of defects of type B, number of defects of type C, number of defects of type D, or maybe something like this, okay? So it means that this is a frequency of defect 1, defect type 2, defect type 3, okay? So this does show you on the, decreasing order of the occurrence, the problem. It shows you that how your defects, what kind of defects are, most occurring defects, right? So this is the Pareto chart. It does show you frequency of the problems your project team has identified. Maybe your project team has identified 4 or 5 problems, and fifth type of problem is occurring 2 times in your project. Four type of problem occurs 4 times. Maybe third type of problem occurs 7 times, and first type of problem occurs 8 times. So you just plotted the histogram, but in the order of descending order, So it tells you, this is Pareto chart, okay? So it does tell you that what you are looking for in the question. But control chart, okay. So the control chart is trend analysis. Yes, it tells you have a process which is between these two limits, okay? And this is month. I mean, this is the time scale, okay? And then your process is moving between two limits, upper limit, let's say, and lower limit. Yeah. So your process is in between these two limits, which looks like pretty stable, but it doesn't show you the frequency of the problem your project has identified, right? I hope you guys understood now, right? So Pareto chart is just a histogram, but it is the column or the table is aligned from higher to low, and then you plot the chart. So histogram will show you some descending order of most occurring problems will be at the left, which is most in number, yeah, in frequency. Agree?
Right.
Okay.
You and your project team has just created the process proposed project plan, but your functional manager disagree with you on many areas of it, because you are opening the functional environment, you are operating in the functional environment, and you would like the functional manager to compromise. Which of these individual has the power in the functional organization? Functional manager.
Yeah.
Tulsa.
So last question of the day, guys. You are a project manager of large project to install 10,000 fixture across the campus. Your project team has been late on their assigned work, and you fear the project will be late. Which of the following forecast for the project? Program evaluation and review technique, graphic evaluation and review technique, risk analysis, estimate at completes. So they need to fix 10,000 fixtures across the campus. They are late to complete their assigned work. So how they can forecast? I think estimate at completion they need consider.
I agree. Unless Kazim has some other opinion.
No, how he can?
But let's go for D. Sir, the estimate of completion is isn't this technically related to the cost?
Yes. See.
No, it will also give you the time, the remaining number of units.
See, this is how you are supposed to finish. Okay, this is your budget at completion, BAC. Okay, this is your original budget at completion, maybe whatever X amount. whatever X amount is this. Okay. So this is the dollar. Okay. Now what happens? This is your baseline. If you move like this, awesome. But what happened? This is your actual cost. How now your actual cost, not actual cost, I would say this is your, with the passage of time, how you will, this is time, I would say, okay. Then with the passage of time, you will spend your money like this. Maybe you started very well, maybe you will go above budget, and then you are here. So now the moment that you cross the line, we need to start forecasting, guys. There is a variation now coming. So doesn't look like we will end up here. Doesn't look like, because you may start projecting like this. You may start projecting like this the moment you started observing that there is a deviation. Okay. I mean like this, if it started like this, so then here you will start to do the forecasting like this. Oh God, if I continue like this, I'm gonna end up somewhere here, which is my estimate at completion. Now this is my estimate at completion, EAC. Okay. Now what is my estimate to complete? Estimate to complete, which will be the difference of these two, EAC minus BAC. You got my point?
Yes.
You got this forecasting? I hope you understand this.
Yes, boss. Yes.
Ding, ding, ding,
Let's
ding, ding.
click the estimate at completion
And then
and grade the test.
great. Okay, great. Cool. Failed again.
Again, the same progress. We are not moving.
Okay.
So this is incremental approach.
Not hybrid. You guys were right. I was
No,
wrong.
I was initially asking about predictive because of prototype.
See, hybrid is a mix of incremental and predictive development. This is not necessary for a project to test proof of concept. Whereas I was telling that hybrid is a mixture of incremental and iterative. So I need to correct myself. It's a mixture of incremental and predictive. And teams which move from predictive to agile, they go first to hybrid. So they just add the incremental stuff and keep doing the predictive stuff. Yeah. So this is one thing. Secondly, is the waterfall and predictive is the same thing. C, project based development approach would be incremental because CEO asks for the prototype to test a POC, and incremental is the best to deliver a usable portion of the product after a small development period. Yeah, okay, cool. Then we have determine exactly what work would be contracted out. Yeah, this is fine. Resource constraint. Yeah, so there is nothing like ivory tower is now the project management terminology, but what I understood after checking it online, it is some environment which is very far away from the real world. So let's say university time, when you were in the university, you had no idea. You were in the ivory tower because you had no idea about the realities of the work life, which is coming next.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I was wrong. There's no cost benefit analysis. The change must be reviewed for any risk associated. Wow, Kazim. Oh, bravo. Where are you? Okay. I spent like 10 minutes on this. Benefit cost ratio are the method of
This is a.
selecting. So it's a big lesson learned. Benefit cost ratio are the method of selecting a project, not evaluating change requests. Okay. The change request, integrated change controls call for all the knowledge areas, including risk, to be reviewed for the impact of the proposed change. So we should review what this change will impact, how this change will impact on your other areas like scope, quality, and cost. So yeah, the change must be reviewed because it may impact the other areas as well. Kazim left, sleep.
Maybe busy because of the guest.
Yeah, okay. This is correct as well. Share with the team that he sent the report late and explain why. Okay.
Why it happened?
Team leader can more easily micromanage. This is not one of the benefit of the tool. Resource management plan. Look, resource management is not
Understood.
related. Stakeholder ownership improves stakeholder satisfaction.
Scope.
Dynamic chart, decision tree. Wait for appropriate time during the discussion to ask the developer. Yes. To document features and functions. User story. Functional metrics. Determine what is missing in appropriate tasks and add the task to the backlog. Correct.
Yeah, you were
Defect
saying not to
repair is
do.
correct. And hire additional team to complete the project on time is
Yeah,
correct.
cheese.
Mentorship is correct. Bravo. Sponsor ensure that project has PM has the resources. We know the Pareto chart. We know the functional manager. We know the estimated completion, and that's it.
Finish.
So I think the only two questions are wrong, right?
Yeah.
This is good.
That one because of that the Kazim was saying risk that we have to consider. That one credit will go to Kazim.
Wait for the question. Where is that? Yeah, credit goes to Kazim. So we would have done it correctly. And then, I think that's it, right? Only one.
Only one is the wrong.
Wow.
Wow, fantastic, man, fantastic.